going on, man? This is Ice Enigma.
Yeah, and this is T Enigma, and this is Enigmas Unchained. The Elder. Now this one was done by Trigger as well, which I was surprised because like coming off the Twins, I was like, this one can't be that good, and this was phenomenal. I was like, okay, all right then. Well, so the Elder dealt with a Jedi Master. I believe his name was Tajin or something like that. And Dan, I don't really remember his name was Dan because he was so goddamn annoying. But the like Tajin, Jedi Master's Padawan was Dan, and they had gone to the Outer Rim. So this is after I'll look this up. This is after the death of Darth Bane. So this is like further back in the lore. So
it's a good time to explore. There's not been enough exploration.
Absolutely.
In this era.
Yeah, like Darth Bane doesn't get enough credit. Like there's a lot of lore in that particular era. So they're in the Outer Rim. Tajin, the senses of disturbance in the Force, they land on this particular planet. And they're looking for this elder that they say has been living in the mountaintop. So Dan, went out on his own and started following the trail for the elder. And he sees this failed beast, that has a lightsaber scar on it. And the elder just pops up, short, like a short dude, you know what I'm saying? Like super duper yellow teeth. Oh, good, great. You know what I'm saying? But he waxed Dan. I was like, dang, he disrespected that boy. When he's sitting on him, am I not mistaken? When he's sitting on him when the homeboy showed up?
It's sitting above him. He basically had the boy like on the ground at the foot of a rock, and he was sitting on the rock when Tajin walked up.
Just waiting for the master.
And his whole goal, he told Dan what he was going to do. I'm either going to kill or maim you so that your master will come see me.
Yep, that's pretty much what he was doing. I mean, that's
exactly what he did too.
It was so hood. I mean, he just sitting there with a big smile on his face, and you see Dan just laying in the dirt. It's like, God dang. So Tajin comes up the mountain finally and greets this elder, and they go into war. I mean, bruh, it was probably the most Jedi fight in this series because it showed you how well a Jedi Master thinks with his blade, so with his saber. Because your boy, to finish him off, he disengaged the lightsaber and just pulled it towards your boy's heart and turned it on. I was like, that's how you use a lightsaber. You know what I'm saying?
Which we have seen before. We saw Kylo Ren use that same technique in Star Wars 8, where he was fighting with Rey in the throne room, and he did that to one of the Death Troopers.
And Rey did it
tossing
again.
The lightsaber.
She did it again in 9. I think she did it in 9 when they were fighting on the bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
she got him to the side doing this.
Yeah. So that was it. And it's a very smart way because it's a lightsaber. Like it's like once you disengage it, whatever that's clashing with it has to drop. So turn it off. Yeah, center of gray. Yeah, it just turns it off.
So your dude off balance.
Dude's off balance, and he just
off balance and get him.
He just like got it straight to the heart and pew, turned the sucker on. It's like a bullet. Went straight through homeboy's heart. He killed that dude. You know what I'm saying? But
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was chef's kiss. So how he finessed that dude. Because he came in like real calm. He saw his students laying there, but your boy also handled it. Dan had a part to contribute too because he tossed him his lightsaber.
He did because he did a saber throw. He threw his saber at the distract because low key the elder was going to roast Taijin with Fourth Lightning. Like
he was
going down.
Yeah, homeboy eyes start turning.
It was going down.
And he was like, yeah, bro, I'm done with all this lightsaber issue. I'm about to it's like pretty much the Force Lightning is the gun for the Jedi. I mean, for a Darth Sidious. Like they're like, you know what, forget all this fist fighting. Just give him my gat. Like so he just pulled that out. But Dan slid him the saber. He was able to get out of that drop, boom, ignite the saber on homeboy's chest. Your boy was dead. They took record, you know what I'm saying, like stayed with the people because like Dan had to be healed. And that was the episode. There wasn't like it was pretty much like a Jedi mission episode, which I really enjoyed that. I was like, that's once again not out of ordinary. I mean, like as far as like not out of ordinary what they would do, but you hadn't seen it done. You feel me? And so
I would say out of all of them, this one was the safest one.
Yeah.
This one followed the formula.
It was a full formula
in terms of like what you expect. Yeah, it was the safest one. It was also the one that I was surprised that I was really surprised that when you change languages on it, like the English performance. I got to shout out to David Harbour because he did the voice of Taijin in the English dub. He did an amazing performance. It was really, really good. But the storytelling is completely different when you switch from the English to the Japanese in it, because they use a younger actor for Dan in they use a younger actor for Dan in the English dub, but in Japanese dub, what they did is they actually used a couple of really seasoned adult male actors who we've heard in tons and tons of anime from every. I feel like both of those guys have worked with every studio out there.
I did not look up, the voices, but your boy,
we've heard those guys before.
The dude with voices Taijin. I was like, I've listened to you all my life. What is your name? Like literally, it hit different. I was like, I know this voice. It was like,
so we don't have a snot-nosed brat. We have a grown man here. We have a grown man who's a Padawan.
Yeah.
Versus like, is it because he came off as a disrespectful little teenager in the English dub, but in the Japanese, it was we got a grown man here. So the disrespect hits different when it's coming from another grown man versus when it's coming from a child. That completely changed the storytelling for me.
Yeah. So like he was annoying to me in English, and then I flipped it and watched it again. Yeah, I mean I flipped it the same time I watched half the episode in Japanese, and I was like, dang, that's good. So once again, that was what my last watch through yesterday. The entire thing was fully in Japanese. I was like, I'm just gonna do the whole thing in Japanese. Except episode 2, but I did everything in Japanese. Watched them all, and I was like, yeah, this is supposed to be done in Japanese with subtitles.
It was, and the translation. I would say that the translation for this was not. The translation in this episode, in my opinion, was not as strong.
It wasn't. I mean, as
it was in some of the other episodes, because like some of the stuff that they had Dan say, he didn't actually say in Japanese. I know enough Japanese to know that some of the stuff he didn't say, it was added on to. It was added. Some of those things were added for emphasis.
It was nuance.
Because his sentences were actually really, really short. He didn't have long sentences. Like with the sarcasm, he did use sarcasm, but it was a much shorter sentence. That kind of thing. So they implied certain things in English, and I get why they did it, because one, you have to work with the mouth motion of how the character's mouth is actually moving. And then two, you have to come up with a translation that's going to work for. Especially if you have 6 and 7 other languages that the thing is spoken in, you got to try to have a narrative that is going to work for across the board for as many languages as possible. So I get I get the move that they made, but it wasn't as accurate a translation as I would have liked, if that makes sense.
Now that makes sense. I mean, like, so, and I agree with you, because when I flipped it from the English, there's a little bit of attitude in whoever that's doing the English language, for Dan, but then you flip it to Japanese and he sounds like he's questioning. Like the tone is more of like, oh, are you sure we're supposed to do this versus why are we doing this?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Which is a very different attitude.
Yeah. Like no, say it was completely. I still didn't like Dan as a character. No offense to Dan, but Dan was a G. I can't take that away from him. Now I cannot like you and still think you a gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he was like pretty much on death's door and was still able to get that lightsaber to his master. That's what I'm talking about. He's like, nah, kill this sucker. You know what I'm saying? Which they did. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like he like say they stayed in the village for like probably a month or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, until your boys
in order to be able to heal. Yeah.
In order for him to heal, because it was long enough for his wounds to heal, and he was cut deep. You know what I'm saying, by your boy. I mean, I was like, dang, bro, he got the worst part of that exchange. So yeah, but I give the elder I also give the elder a B. This is also a B to me. Only reason I give it a B and not an A is because it went the safe route with the story. But at the same time, the story is mad predictable. You know what I'm saying? Like that once again, that's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? But this was not something that we have not seen. This is a mission that we have not seen, but we've seen Jedi missions before. That's pretty much episode 1, 2, and 3. It's Jedi missions. You know what I'm saying? 4, 5, and 6 is not Jedi missions. It's like people trying to figure stuff out. But when we watch like episode 1, 2, 3, Clone Wars, you know, you see bunches of Jedi missions. So it was the same situation. You know what I'm saying? A master and a Padawan, master instructing the Padawan as they go along and stuff like that. Once again, not bad. Far away from bad. It was a great episode, but it wasn't something where I'm like, oh man, wow, you know, so like just like look, right now the standard bearer is a ninth Jedi. You got a lot of competition. You know what I'm saying? Like ninth Jedi right now is like the standard bearer or so far for Vision. So it's like when I look at that, I'm like, yeah.
And the ninth Jedi was also, it was originally supposed to be a 2-parter. Ninth Jedi was because originally Visions was supposed to be a 10-part series, and Ninth Jedi was supposed to be a 2-part episode.
They should have gave it to them both.
After they went back to the studio and reworked it, they said, well, why don't we just take our 2 15-minute things and put them together and make one long thing?
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why the Ninth Jedi is also longer than the other episodes as well.
They should have just went ahead and gave them 2 full episodes and made this in a 10 and even the sucker out. But yeah, but I was just being real. I mean, but the Elder one, it's not a bad episode, but it was safe. I wish I didn't want the Elder to die so quickly. Like that was at least one of my. I was like let them chase the sucker down or something like that. Like he gets away. And like, you know, like we're like, you know, after he's failed Dan and the homeboys waiting for him and he finds a way to get away and the master to go off on his own or something like that. That would have been, I think that would have tied it up a little bit better to me, where the master could just go away and fight him like one-on-one in a situation that I think would have made the episode a little bit stronger. But once like a B is not a bad grade though. So like, yeah. So how about you, bro?
It was a B minus. I thought that the usage of Sith in this was different because you have a guy who had broken away from the Sith Order.
Yeah.
And then also his passing was unique. There have been instances like although it's rare.
He turned to dust, like what was it, like mud?
Yeah,
dust
he turned to he crumbled into like a mud, dust, something like that.
Never seen that before. You're right about that. Yeah, I never seen that before. I was like, that's interesting. You know, no, like, you know, people go to the Force, their bodies just disappear and their clothes are left.
Yeah,
but I've never seen like, so it's like, what type of Sith this dude was?
What kind of Sith? And then he took his secrets with him, which is also unusual for Sith to do. Sith don't normally do that. Yeah. Because he blew up his own ship as he was dying. Mm-hmm. And then he also said when he was fighting Dan that he broke away from the Sith Order, but he was also still running around doing Sith stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really he's unusual. He's unusual.
Like, he was an unusual character that I said. I told you I was like, yo, my favorite character, yo, because like he was interesting, but then they just murked him. I was like, dang, you know. So I wanted some more. I wanted some more out of the Elder because I thought that his construction was very unique, but the story was very formulaic. I was like, well, I can't be upset about it because the episode was still good. But that particular guy, like being like a rogue Sith, you know, he hasn't abandoned the Sith way, but he's abandoned the Order. That particular type of thing. I like, once again, we have not seen that. We've seen every time we've seen Sith situations, it's been under Order. When we've seen Jedi, it was either when the Order was together or it was after during the Purge, right? So it's like I would like to see a Elder that's being hunted by Sith or something like that. That'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it's still a good episode. I mean, there's still, you can watch this episode 55 times and still love it. But I don't really need any more from this episode though. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't need to see more of that.
Yeah. Exactly. This is a one-off, but the next one we get into though, oh my goodness, this thing right here needs 52 episodes, plus 2 OVAs. So I'm like, look, episode 8. Lap and Ocho, look here.
Man,
look here. Gino,
this was a top tier one. This was this is like top three.
This was ninth Jedi, almost in that same vein, right? Geno Studio did this. They are famous, or at least well known, for Golden Kamuy, because they're actually a very young. They're what, 2015, like 2015, 2016. Like, they're the youngest out of this whole crew. But their biggest one, the one that's gotten the most acclaim, has been Golden Kamuy, and now we can add Star Wars Legends to the Star Wars Vision to this, because like, look, this episode was nothing but great. I mean, like it was just great all the way through. I was like, look, it's a rabbit. This is rabbit girl slave. You know what I'm saying? Her name is Lop. When I saw that, I was like, what? No, like that was my first reaction. I was like, rabbit slaves? Okay, we didn't go too far. And then the story kept going on. I was like, I respectfully remove every single critique about this character. I'm throwing it in the trash. Lot for life. But yeah, so the end. This is during the Empire's reign, because Palpatine is still on the throne. So
yeah, he's actually kind of fresh on the throne at this point. Yeah. This is before A New Hope.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere between the Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Yep. So right now we're looking at Lop. You know, she's a alien rabbit slave who escapes her captors. The planet's name was Tau, if I'm not mistaken. And she pretty much gets discovered by this clan leader and his daughter named Ocho. And Ocho,
they're a group of sort of, you can think of them as sort of like force sensitive feudal lords of that.
Yeah,
area,
pretty much. Yeah. So and they Ocho, the daughter, pretty much convinces her father, Yasuburo, I think was his name. She convinces him to adopt Lop as his daughter. So then we get a time skip, which normally, once I saw 7 years later, I'm like, where we got going on here? Like, cause that was just unusual. It just happened, right? It's like 7 years later, the Empire then came down.
They've adopted a slave, and 7 years later.
Yeah, they adopted a slave 7 years later. The Empire has occupied the planet. Excuse me. Yasuburo is like, look, I'm tired of the Empire being here. So he's like ready to ride. You know what I'm saying? Actually, he did ride. You know what I'm saying? But Ocho, on the other hand, wants to cooperate with the Empire. You know what I'm saying?
Because she thinks that, hey, if we cooperate with them, they're not gonna rape the planet. They're not gonna take our resources and stuff. As a matter of fact, they might bring us technology.
They might bring us
that will help us progress. Lift us out of poverty. Help us progress.
Yeah. So her key word in this particular episode was progress. Father, you're taking us away from progress. So she went to if I'm not mistaken, your boy was a moth, because I think he had the badges of a moth. I can't remember.
You're talking about the Imperial officer who came down.
Yeah. Like
who basically her inside. Yeah, he did. He was dressed like a moth.
He was dressed like a moth, man. So I was also okay. So we got a moth here, and he's like, look here, you know, saying, look, if you guys join hands with us, we'll be able to take care of all these things, right? So she like did something I ain't never seen to nothing. I've never. And this is what like really got my attention.
Mind you, Lop is trying to convince her, make up with dad, make up with dad,
make up with Pop. Yeah.
So like we if we can just talk about it, we can find some other solution besides being separatist versus we can find some kind of solution. We don't have to obey the Empire.
Yeah. So Lop is kind of she is. Lop sides with Yasuburo, right? So she's like, look, we don't need the Empire here. Ocho's like, I get that, but we kind of do need them because we need the tech in order to be able to progress, which is actually the Mandalorian argument. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna pause for a second because I thought this was dope, because this is like after the Mandalorian. I mean, well, this is before the Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian posed the question of how bad was the Empire really? You get what I'm saying? Like, so while you're going through all those episodes, you're realizing that a lot of civilizations are crumbling because they don't have the Empire. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so who's the villain? It's a villain.
It was a complex look at for the first time we were looking at the Empire, but not through the eyes of the rebels.
Absolutely.
And not through the eyes of the Jedi. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, and all the other movies up to this point, all the movies are always looking at the Empire through the eyes of the rebel, or looking at the Empire through the eyes of
every single time
of the Jedi.
So
every
Ocho,
single time. So you're looking at the thing from a group of, they are force sensitive. This family is force sensitive, but they're not Jedi and they're not in the Empire either. So it's basically like they're the people that the Jedi and the Empire are fighting over. Everybody else. They're part of the everybody else. And how they are looking at the Empire.
Which is dope because in this episode, you know, it showed you that there were probably orders that were not Jedi in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because they had a rich history of like what we'll get to in a moment. So like Ocho simultaneously committed herself to the Empire while also disavowing her attachment to her own family. She cut her braid. Yeah, she cut her braid. And she also did a blood covenant. She bit her finger and rubbed it over her eyes. It's pretty much a symbol of marriage in a lot of cultures. The like what she's like, I'll go with y'all. And I was like, dang. She did it like in seconds. She signed herself on to the Empire and disowned her father. So Lop is the only one left now with Yasaburo. And what ends up happening is that when Lop comes back, Yasaburo sits her down and he actually gives her the family jewel. And he pulls out this immaculately beautiful box. I mean, it was beautiful. The respect that they gave to this item. He opens it up and it's a lightsaber. And it's an old hilt. You know what I'm saying? It's a very old hilt to this lightsaber. And he begins to tell her the history, the fact that this has been passed down for so many generations from the ancestors. And I was like, I wonder if one of the ancestors, either the ancestors were not Jedi, or if they were Jedi, they were trained in a way, but they also were not like fully Jedi. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not part of the religion, not part of the order.
Not part of the religion. But, they're force sensitive people. Yeah, force sensitive people. Lop was force sensitive, so she was able to pop the blade, and so she leaves. You know what I'm saying, to confront Ocho because, like, unfortunately, Yasaburo is also on the way there. And they by the time she gets there, Yasaburo, this is like afterwards, my bad, I have to rewind tape. So this is like after she's gotten the lightsaber, you know, they get some time. Yasaburo goes off to go and like pretty much like bomb this freaking Empire building. And Ocho confronts her father there. And she ends up blinding her father. Now her father already was missing one eye. She took the other eye. You know, Lop like pretty much comes in right when their father is laying on the ground blinded, and he was like, I made a mistake. You know, like it was a very heartfelt moment. And Lop and Ocho have to fight, bruh. This broke my heart a little bit, man. Because I love it when I hear enemies talk about their philosophies on life when they're fighting. Because Lop is like, we can still do this together. Ocho is like, we can't do this together because you took what's mine. What you have in your hand is mine. That was really interesting to see the switch. Yeah, because she was talking all this love and stuff like that when they were in the car before they got up to the mall. Yep. But then the moment she saw the lightsaber was in Lop's hand, all of a sudden it turned like, oh, you not only do I not love you, you ain't even family anymore. Yeah, like you like, actually. So it showed you what the dark side does to people. Because so this was the only episode. Actually, my bad. The last two episodes showed you what the dark side does. So this episode in Ocho was kind-hearted, you know, very she was optimistic. She was also progressive. She wanted to see things progress. She had great aspirations to see her family succeed. Now, what ends up happening is that when the moth comes down, which moths a good moth can beat people with their words. That's just a age-old situation. Whenever you see a moth, a great moth. That's exactly what he did. That moth do it. That moth, Tarkin, Gideon, like that's what they do. Yep. So this moth beat her with words and twisted her desire into something that will fit the Empire, but make her think that it actually benefits the people there. So while the Empire will be raping and pillaging their planet, you know, Ocho will be thinking, well, the people ain't dead, so I think I've done my job. So that means when I come home, I'll be hailed a hero, and my father will give me our family heirloom as a person that takes over the family. So when she saw, and I would say another thing with Ocho as well is that Ocho was coming from a place of fear. Yes, she is.
Yep. And Ocho is
and
not. And that's one of the reasons why Ocho was able to develop she was able to develop into a Jedi, where her sister developed into a Sith. Because
and fear is what
twisted her.
What did Yoda say? Fear is a path to the dark side.
To the dark side. And that's exactly what happened to her.
That's what happened.
Force sensitive and afraid, and she went to the dark side.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like so she ends up, while she's in the fight though, which really, this is where what got me though. While she's in the fight, you kind of saw her pull an Anakin. You know what I'm saying? Like Anakin in episode 3, everything he thought when they got to Mustafar was twisted. Everything. He choked his wife. He
couldn't see clearly at all.
Yeah, he choked his wife and then told Obi-Wan, "Look what you made me do." I was like, "Yo, this dude has lost his mind." So in that same, Ocho was in that same vein when she was like, "You took what means the most to me," which was her taking over her family, and her eyes flickered red then yellow, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's gone full self." I said, she's gone. Yeah. So Lop, did the only right thing to do. She slashed that heifer in the. He slashed that heifer across her chest.
She cut her sister's titties off, man. She cut the
cut her. Like,
she did a big X thing right across the breast.
Yeah, like
big big X.
Yeah, she was like, Lord. "Oh, you're done." Right. So I mean, I thought, and then this is also another dark side thing too, the recovery after injury. Yeah. That shook me, because I thought that she was gonna be laying down, and the next thing you see, she's standing on top of freaking on one of the
TIE fighter.
Yeah, on the TIE fighter. And I was like,
she landed on a TIE fighter, and then she flew off into the distance.
I was like, yo, this girl is gonna be a monster. I mean, all I could think of, I'm like, when we get more of this. I was like, when we get more of this, because Ordinary Fellow said it best. We need more alien characters with the Force. We need more people that are outside of a humanoid type of situation that actually has the Force, because we have so many different people that have the Force, and they get like 4 or 5 seconds in the movie. But Lop is so dope, man. I mean, like, once again, innocent character, like kind of like Kara. You know what I'm saying? Innocent character, wants to see things done right, and is Force sensitive, and will be guided by that same principle when they go out to fight. She didn't want to hurt her sister. It was a last ditch effort.
She came out there to talk. As a matter of fact, the whole time, that's all she was trying to do. She was trying to talk until they got that breaking point moment. Yeah, she's been trying to talk to her.
And she had no hate in her eyes throughout the whole fight. Ocho was gone.
And I want to see more. I want to see more of this. The thing I think, though, because it was kind of clear where the timeline was with that. I feel like there are limits in terms of how you could tell that story.
Exactly.
And my hypothesis, what most likely happens to Ocho is that she becomes an inquisitor. That's most likely what will happen there, is that she will be, because she's Force sensitive. She clearly went to the dark side. Yeah. And Vader would have used her. I mean, like anybody under his command that was Force sensitive was an Inquisitor. And then the Inquisitors were all wiped out by the time you get to A New Hope. There were no Inquisitors left by that point.
Yeah. So I mean,
because at that point that you heard Moff Tarkin say, when he was talking to Vader, "You're all that's left of the old religion." At that point, they're acknowledging that all the Inquisitors at this point. So as far as Tarkin was concerned, there shouldn't be anybody left that's Force sensitive at this point. Because Vader has killed them all.
Yeah. So but once again, even with that though, there's still a good bit to tell. Like there's at least probably like a 10-year time gap, like right here in this spot, where they have free reign to do something very interesting. That at least closes out the story of Lop and Ocho. It doesn't have to be like 125. It could be like a 26 episode situation, 2 or 3 OVA situation, just to be done with it. Because I think that Lop's character is freaking endearing. If they don't have toys of Lop yet, they are fools. Look, Lop and Toby.
There was so much opportunity with Visions. There's so much opportunity for merch. All kinds of retail merch that you can do with this.
All through this thing. I mean, even Ocho, when they had her child form before she cut her hair, to when she pretty much turned on and started the Empire, 3 different outfits. I already see people cosplaying as all of them. I can already see it coming. I can see people cosplaying as Lop right now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, but this one gets an A+. I really enjoyed this episode. The like because the construction of this episode once again fell inside the Star Wars lore. It did not abuse it.
Yeah.
It gave us it gave us an additional perspective on the lore because they did not use Jedi. That wasn't even uttered in this episode. It was force sensitive. Nope. You know what I'm saying? These are force sensitive people that which is what I think when we talked last time, you know, that was like 4 or 5 months ago almost. We talked about Jedi: The Fallen Order and a couple of things. And we talked about how there needs to be more stories in Star Wars universe that does not include a Jedi or a Sith, so to speak, but more force sensitive people. You know what I'm saying? Just having people that were force sensitive. And I'm like, this is a throughway to that particular style of situation. Hopefully they can capitalize on this. So what were your thoughts, bro?
I thought that in a subtler way, the Sith question, you know, there's, like I said, there's always a promise, right? Yep. And that's what initiates the conversion of almost every single Sith Lord we've seen, you know, in the lore up to this point. They're not just bad to the bone or whatever. They all want something. They want something, and it's usually something good, but they're willing to do anything to get it. And they're all proposed a question that, like, if you accept the dark side, then your wildest dream will be achieved, or your people will be saved, or you'll be able to bring somebody back from the dead. That kind of question. So Ocho, with her making her blood covenant while severing her relationship with her father, they actually touched on this in terms of like forced connections with people. Mm-hmm. They actually touch on that quite a bit in Star Wars Rebels, where the main character Ezra Bridger actually developed a force bond with Darth Maul. And and was actually trained by Darth Maul a little bit too. Ezra actually has a period of time where he's sort of somewhere between being a Jedi and somewhere between being a Sith because of the training that he received from Darth Maul. So they actually, I feel like they touched on that a little bit here with the covenant that she made, where she cut herself off from her positive force-sensitive father, and then, you know, then basically making a covenant with the dark side to achieve what she thought was going to be the best end, and would also give strength and power to her clan in doing that. So they used existing motifs within this. If the ninth Jedi was a 12 out of 10, this is an 11 out of 10.
I agree with you.
It's amazing. Yeah. They did their homework. Like the studio sat down. Like the people who worked on this, they're fans. Yeah. These people who did this are fans.
They're fans.
They studied the lore. They aren't just people who took information and tried to make stuff. Mm-hmm. These people are fans. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say we don't always agree with what other fans do with the material, because Kathleen Kennedy is a fan. She is a fan. She's actually one of the oldest fans. She worked side by side with George, even when George was making stuff with Steven Spielberg. The three of them have been friends forever and making films forever. So there's probably nobody who, in fact, is a bigger fan than Kathleen. But Kathleen has, from the fan perspective, she's got a lot of misses. So we don't always agree with everything that fans come through with. But this fan group here with Geno Studio, they're fans, and I heard it. I heard it clearly. They actually did their homework. They know how Star Wars works, and they did a great job operating in this environment. And the audacity to put it so close to existing timelines and to still, without it being corny, cheesy, or contrived, was great. Yeah. You could have done this live action and it still would have been good. This could have been a Star Wars story, like one of the ones that would have been in between the live action. You know, like when they were doing the sequel trilogy, how they had two that were in between, with Solo and with Rogue One. This could have been one of those to me, and it would have been great. Yeah, it would have been. Matter of fact, you can even have this character, because of the timeline where they fit in. You can have this character either meet up with Ezra Bridger with how the story is going right now, with how they're doing live action series for stuff.
That's a fair
so when Thrawn comes out, she could meet up with Ezra Bridger, or you could have, when Fallen Order 2 comes out, she could meet up with Kyle Kestis. Yes. There's all kinds of great possibilities you can do with this while still keeping this going without it being too much.
Yep. So, and that's one of the reasons why I say, like, it's up there, because there are legs on all sides for this story. You know what I'm saying? So I've not had that happen to me in animes. Like I'm trying to think of an anime. I remember watching it for Ninku, the joint with the ninjas.
Yes.
And I remember looking at the appearance of the main character and being like, what the world is this? And then the thing ended up being fire. I've not had that same reaction to an anime since that anime. And that was like the early 2000s. So that was like quite nostalgic for me. I was like, dang, I mean, I've seen a lot of anime. There's not a whole lot of surprise in anime. So when I saw like this bunny, I was like, what? I mean, and that was like my first, like, what? Why? You know what I'm saying? And then like the sea lop, I was like, goodness gracious, I was wrong, and I love being wrong with this. This is great. You know, it just I was ready to throw the thing away like Tatooine Rhapsody. I was ready. I was like, I was like, Lop. I was like, what type of name is Lop? And I was like, Lop. But I'm like, go Lop, get him. You know what I was like, let's go. So yeah, I mean, I love that. It was great. I mean, it's like I say up there. We're gonna get the rankings in a moment. We got one more episode, which is the most heartbreaking episode, which I think they chose this. They chose this as a final one. This is a perfect one. I was like, which one is going to have to be last? Had to end in tragedy, very Star Wars like. The last episode 9, was called Akakira.
Yes.
Which is, it's, yeah. So getting to episode,
it's kind of Kurosawa-esque, but it's different though at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a freaking tragic one. I mean, I was like, dang, you know, when it was finished, I was like, well,
and this one asked the fifth question that I was proposing before about like what. I don't think I've asked the question explicitly, but I will say before you give the synopsis on this one actually asked the fifth question the loudest that all of the other episodes up to this point, with the exception of the Tatooine Rhapsody, are asking in the background specifically about the dark side.
Yeah.
And the question that's being asked that I was able to discern about this series when looking at the dark side, what if the promises of the dark side are true?
Yeah.
Like what if the things that when especially when a Dark Lord is trying to convert a new acolyte, and he's making him a proposal to turn him to the dark side. He's always promising something outlandish. Like think about when Palpatine was grooming Anakin, and Anakin was having these prophetic dreams about Padme dying, and and Palpatine lured him in with the promise that look, there was Darth Plagueis figured out a way to revive the dead.
Yep.
So if and then he said that famous line that that was used more than once with that the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities that are considered unnatural. And so the question is that the truth? That because up to this point, looking at this from the eyes of a separatist, or looking at this through the eyes of a Jedi, the assumption in Star Wars is always that no, that is not true.
Yeah.
If the promises aren't true, you can get certain abilities, but whatever the cost is not worth it. That's always the assumption every single time throughout Star Wars lore. We've never taken that question serious, because we've always assumed the storyline up to this point has been a simple black and white, good versus evil, no ambiguity in between. It's like the dark side is bad, period. That's always been the overarching theme with it. So anything that the Sith can promise, even if there's some truth to it, it's still not ultimately true. And this episode calls that into question. Go for it.
Yeah. So in this episode, once again, let's get to the studio first. The studio that did this one was Science Saru, who did Toby, the Toby episode as well. So the art styles were not the same, which I gotta give them props for that. They were nowhere near the same. This one was a very minimalist, sober style, which I think it really fit this particular episode. But there is this pretty much is during the at least from what I read, this is during the extinction of the Sith. And Tsubaki, who is the main character, is a Jedi who keeps having this bad dream about somebody dying in front of him. So he ends up coming home. He meets his old flame, a princess named Misa. And he's trying to pretty much Misa convinces him to help her to pretty much overthrow her aunt, Masago, who is a dark side
who is a Sith Lord.
Yeah. So like we were introduced. I don't think they said Sith Lord yet, but they said she was a dark side wielder. But we end up finding out that she actually is Sith. So pretty much they end up trying to raid him, and Masago got a crew of people, like masked assailants that like really can go ham, and they start tearing up their people. So Tsubaki, what Tsubaki doesn't know though is that Misa actually disguises herself as one of the guards. So Tsubaki is scrapping with the folk, and he ends up killing all the henchmen. And unfortunately, Misa was in that uniform. He ended up killing her too. And this is where the controversy comes in. At the very end, but during the fight, and back up just a little, during the fight, Misago is telling him to be my apprentice. She was telling him the whole time, you need to be my apprentice. And he's like, no, I'm not going to be your apprentice. I'm going to kill you. And that's when everything happened, when he ended up slaying Misa, because she was inside of one of the uniforms of one of the royal guard that was with Misago. So he's broken on his knees, and he's like sitting over.
Like, I didn't kill the homegirl. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
My mind was clouded because I had the force vision.
Yeah. So he's sitting in front of her body, and he Misago was like, I can revive, like we can actually save her. And Tsubaki's like, he bows to her, and he's like, I will join you. Please save her. And they put their hands over her, and they actually use the force to heal her. Now that's what a was like, whoa. I mean, I was like, whoa, now.
This has never happened. This has never happened before.
This is what Anakin wanted. This is what he wanted.
This ability is exactly what he wanted. We've seen this happen with the Force. We've never seen it happen with the dark side.
Right.
Ever.
So I was like, this is actually what Anakin wanted. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I said, this is the reason why he turned. This moment, this situation was why he turned. But the most tragic part of this, it worked. It revived her. But she had to watch her love walk away with her aunt as her apprentice, man. That's how the episode ended. And I was like, God damn. So good. I was like, yo, look, so good. It was so good. I mean, it was because, once again, Star Wars is well acquainted with tragedy, like the story is, right? A lot of the stories that we have gotten so far, I would actually go on record saying none of them. Actually, the Lop and Ocho dealt with it a little bit, but they didn't go hardcore in to really show you, a person fully falling to the dark side and the consequences like of them wanting to change. We ain't got that. Episode 9 was the answer. Yeah. And it hit every single high mark you could think of. It was a full-fledged Jedi who came in guns a-blazing because he had this vision, but he also finally meant to love his life again, which is also dangerous, quote unquote, to the Jedi. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't just be, out here having, like no loves in their lives apparently. But so like that situation happened. So you already know something's gonna happen. Like, he ain't supposed to have like no lady that he's supposed to be in love with. That's at least the Jedi way. So when you get further in the episode and you see her like kind of sneak into the Royal Guard, I was like, oh my God, she probably won't die. And then when he stabbed her and he realized it was her, I was like, the heartbreak that they drew on this dude, man, it was beautiful. The red sun on sunset, everything was red. It was literally like the red, like a red claw or red fangs. Now Akakiri, I forget what Kiri means. Red is Aka. But I can't remember what Kiri means in Japanese. But I'll look it up in a moment. But yeah, but it was, like I said, A doggone plus episode, Red Fog. That Kiri means fog. So red fog or red haze, which is actually what we just described. So he was clouded by the dark side. Like he didn't know. Like what was happening this week. He was like had these force visions and he didn't know what was happening. He ended up killing the love of his life in front of him that caused this and then the red haze. You know what I'm saying? And Misago at the end, it was like literally a red sunset. And she was like, if you join me, we'll save her. And that's exactly what happened. And that's how the whole thing ended. A+. They hit everything. This is Star Wars.
10 and a half out of 10 to me. Like it was amazing.
Absolutely. So what are your thoughts, bro, on it as well?
I want to see what happens next.
Same.
That's how I got left feeling with that. I was like, oh well, what? Like I see what's in the I see what's in the queue for what they plan on doing with the Star Wars going forward, and I'm like, oh well, can't remember the name of homeboy who was in Rogue One. I was like, I don't care about his story. We don't need that. Give me more of this. Can we swap him out and do
trash all these other side projects you got going on right now? Star Wars Visions has given you like 5 stories that you can really do something with, live action or animated, either way you want it. They give you what you want right now. Like I want to see what happens with Tsubaki. Tsubaki is put in a very tough spot because the dreams were warning his behind, but he was still clouded by hate while he was fighting Sago. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's it's unfortunate, but that's what happened. And he got caught in that situation, ended up killing the love of his life, and has to use the dark side to bring him back. That's a tragic, tragic. But once
the fact
again,
that he could actually do that, that's a rule broken. Yeah. But at the same time, it tells once again, we're looking at the Sith, but not through the eyes of everybody else.
Yeah.
And so for the first time, they really asked the question: what if the stuff that the Sith are promising? What if it's actually true? Absolutely. Because the assumption is that it's not. That it's either completely untrue or that it's only partially true. And so I really felt like Visions was an exploration of two sides that don't get told enough.
Yeah.
People who are not part of the Jedi Order, like just regular people, and then the Sith from their perspective.
Yeah.
Even the Exar Kun versus Uluk Kel-Drummond, even that, or was that Margaret Ragnos? But anyhow, Exar Kun and Uluk Kel-Drummond, like even with the two of them, that's because Uluk was a Jedi that was transforming into a Sith to try to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Even that right there was still looking at the Sith through the perspective of a Jedi, if that makes sense. It wasn't looking at a Sith from the perspective of a Sith.
And I think it's shining because of that, because let's be fair. The Jedi ain't always right. So
they're not. A lot of times they're actually wrong.
They're actually wrong. I mean, like a lot of the adoptions and stuff they do with Force users not being able to use, because like pretty much it's almost a homogenous answer. Well, you can't use this with the Force because if you do that, you turn to the dark side. But there's so many Force sensitive people that live normal lives that have families. So it's like, what are you talking about then? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot about the Jedi Order that I've always been a fan of the dark side because there was room to where's it gonna say, especially after I read about Bane. Bane was when I was like, there's room to do something different out here versus being a Jedi. You know what I'm saying? And as crazy as that might sound, the Jedi sometimes are not particularly as open, because they have this rigid idea that this is the way certain things are supposed to be, and they can't ever deviate from that way. And then you have somebody like Qui-Gon who understood that no, that's not right. We're not always right. And honestly, if he had lived, I really do believe that Anakin would have been a phenomenal Jedi Force user, right? But because he died,
and I think that the reason why that was because if we look at the Jedi Order in context, it's a monastic order.
It is.
So
it is.
That's what it is. But I think that our perspective and the Jedi's perspective is that from their perspective, there is and this was the thing that Qui-Gon was pushing against. The Jedi believe that, look, the Force is this way, period. It's this, and that's all there is. It's us and everybody else.
Yep.
That's how it's us and everybody else. So if you're not us, you're not using it right, you're not experiencing it right, you're not having it right.
Yep.
And what Qui-Gon was trying to say is like, look, yes, the Jedi are a monastic order, and if you are going to be a Jedi, if you're going to operate in the Force in this particular way, you there are certain things you have to sacrifice. There are certain things you can't do. And use the Force in a particular way. And that I agree with that. I think that's the one thing that the Jedi have right. But the Jedi perspective that it's only this and there nothing else exists outside of this.
Yes,
that's where the Jedi become problematic. That's where they cut themselves off from being able to see stuff. And I think Rebels explores that quite a bit with the expansion of like Ahsoka's character, as well as being able to see Ezra Bridger and his master really sort of come up. And you see that there's more of a gray Jedi thing that's happening there, where there's someone who's really neither or, someone who's much more like a Jedi. And so I think that clarifying the monastic order versus people who are just Force sensitive and trying to live their lives is going to be the future of what Star Wars is.
I mean, and I think that it'll leave more room for there to be more creative stories too, because to me, I mean no offense, I think the Jedi order is boring. That's Trevor A. Stevens' take. You know what I'm saying? T. Nigma's take. I don't ride with the Jedi Order because I do believe that the way that they think and the way and how overbearing they are with it has caused more problems than it actually has caused good. And the same thing can be said about the dark side too, because they become greedy. So when they go too deep on that side, they get super duper greedy and they can't help themselves. They need more power, right? So, but that doesn't mean, like, once again, because of this story, we've now seen that there's Sith that can just be Sith and like not even be bothering nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like they're cooperative more with one side than they are with the other. And they're like, I don't feel like being bothered with the other side. I just want to live, but I'm not. He's pretty much like Tupac. The Sith these Sith that we met were like Tupac. I ain't a killer, but don't push me. You know what I'm saying? Well, I am a killer, but don't push me. My bad. Like that. Yeah, I am a killer.
Because the elder was definitely a killer.
Yeah, the elder was a killer. You know, he was like, hey, look, I'm a killer, so don't you push me. You know what I'm saying? I will tear your behind up. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that being a perspective where you get to see, you know, like both sides, make your own judgment, but also seeing like the construction of each one of these force sensitive users, you know what I'm saying, force sensitive like users that are honed in this skill, like we saw with Lop and Yasaburo and Ocho and Lop and Ocho, you know what I'm saying, then down to the sentient situation with Toby. You know what I'm saying? Look, this is a wild and fun ride. I went in with low expectations because I'm like, I don't want to be hurt again. You know what I'm saying? I was I'm gonna come in here with low expectations. And I left like freaking ecstatic because this thing beat everything I thought was going to be plus more. So how about this? How would you rank yours, man? Top, how would you rank yours from 1 to 9?
It has to start with.
Okay.
Yeah, five is no. I'm getting the list up.
Okay, good. Okay, that's all.
But I can say without even looking at the list. 5 is number 1.
Yeah, Ninth Jedi is number 1.
And I looked at a lot of the emerging lists that are coming out right now, just in terms of like other people writing reviews.
Yeah,
it seems to be across the board that the Ninth Jedi, which was episode 5, is unambiguously it was everyone's favorite for the most part. It was
best one.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, it was amazing.
There's nothing else to say about it other than the fact that why in the world did you not do this? You know, like why in the world have we not had this yet? That's actually how I felt when I watched. I said, why have we not had this in a theater? What is wrong with you people? This is a story we were asking for. This is brand new characters, completely different perspective. I can get behind Ethan. I can see Ethan growing into a phenomenal Jedi. He is pure heart. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's a pure heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he just needs to be trained. That's all. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's so many great characters in these episodes. I was like, I want to see more. So I'm with you. So number 1, Ninth Jedi by a mile.
By a mile. Like, it has the most legs. It has the most legs on it in terms of like like you can do the most with it. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
That could be it's the future. It's also the one that's the furthest in the future as well.
It is. So like that. The one we said that too, didn't we? We said go forward beyond the saga, the Skywalker saga. Yeah. Go well in the future and just do something else. This is it. Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna be honest, the only thing, like if we were gonna go into the past, the only thing I want to see in the past now is like if they were to take the Dawn of the Jedi and put it on screen. Like you take the Dawn of the Jedi and make an anime series out of it or make a movie or something. If you could do that, I would be fine. But there's nothing else in the past that I want to know. Not really. Not that I want to dedicate more than 25 hours to. Gotcha. I can sit down for an hour and a half. I can sit down for an OEV. But the Ninth Jedi proved to me that if they can do this, like and you know what? And I enjoyed The Last Jedi, but I also was like Rian Johnson. I don't know how much more I can take of you. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. But if Rian Johnson can do the Ninth Jedi, because I know he's responsible for the next trilogy. If he can do the Ninth Jedi, I'm back on the bus. I'm not even gonna lie. If it's anything like the Ninth Jedi with fidelity, whether it's live or animated, I'm back on the bus because I'll watch that. You give me 25 hours of that. I can do that.
Yeah,
for sure. I can do that. I'm back on the bus. Give me more of that. So that's my number 1 spot. Number 2 is going to be The Village Bride for me.
Okay.
The Village Bride, which was episode 4. Yep. Next up is The Duel, which was episode 1. Look, these are immaculate. These guys are great.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, and then the next one up is going to be The Elder.
Okay.
I really like The Elder a lot. I felt it had legs. I don't necessarily need to see, like, I don't think it can be a whole series or anything like that. It could probably be another quick special, but it was great. Yeah. The next thing that I think would have a lot of legs would be Lop and Ocho, number 8. It was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. And then number 9, Aikidi, number 9 would be the next one. Okay. For me. And then after that, TOB1, and then Tatooine Rhapsody, and then the Twins is at the very bottom for me.
They're fighting for last place. They're fighting for last place. They're
and we discussed this before, and earlier, I think I graded Tatooine Rhapsody just a little bit higher because even though it was the least like a Star Wars thing, it had the most Star Wars content in it. And the Twins was neither like Star Wars nor did it have an abundance of Star Wars content. Yeah. So it's just like you almost didn't even count. You could have cut the Twins out and then just gave me more. Gave me more of something else. One of the other ones.
So Twins is the bottom for you.
Twins is the bottom for me. It's the
So we're gonna agree on top and bottom. Like we're in full agreement. Like literally, the Twins is on the bottom by a mile. Like
because again, Tatooine Rhapsody is not good enough to watch. It's not good enough to watch a lot of it.
No,
I mean it's not. But it's the Twins was just it's the least Star Wars thing in this pile.
Yeah, facts. I mean, like I was like, no, this ain't right. So this is mine. My number 1, of course, is like the Ninth Jedi by a mile. Then the second one is going to have to be The Bride. The third is Lop and Ocho. That's what we differ. Okay. The third is Lop and Ocho. The fourth is the Duel. The fifth is Akakira. The sixth is The Elder. The seventh is where is it at? Toby. Eighth is Tatooine Rhapsody, and by a mile, coming in at last place is the Twins. The Twins. So it's like as much, and this is how I feel. As much as the Ninth Jedi deserved that spot to be by a mile, the Twins deserve to be in the spot by a mile because this is because remember how I mentioned before about just like we're the most abused fan base on the planet. There's nobody who's going to hang around for 40 years. There's no one who's going to hang around for 40 years and take the amount, but the sheer volume of bad content. Just the sheer volume. Can you think of any other franchise that exists that has as much bad content spanning across 4 decades as Star Wars does, and then have a fiercely loyal fan base? No.
I can't think. Marvel doesn't. DC doesn't.
Like on a real, DC made like maybe two, 3 like very bad movies that really, really can be called bad movies, and folks was ready to burn them at the stake. MCU made like 2 or 3, like in their tenure, but I will give props to props. It's not so egregious that it's not Marvel, right? This Star Wars has gone off the rocker a couple of times. You like, all right, bro, you need to come back. You know what I'm saying? Because we 4, 5, and 6 are like pretty much held in awe above everything else. So it's like if it does not look like
because 5, 4, 5, so 6, good, it was so life-changingly good, and we've never done that again. We've never had we've had good, but we've never had life-changing good again. No. It's just never happened again. Yeah. Life-changing good has never happened again.
On the real, if they did Ninth Jedi correct, bro, I mean, I would see a resurgence because they touch on 4 different generations. You know what I'm saying? So you had Kara, Ethan. What's your boy that flickered between the light and the dark side? You remember his name off the top of the dome?
Oh, I had his name. I can't remember. Hold on.
You had him, and you also had Jiro, the Mangrave. You know what I'm saying? So and also I would put Zima in there with Jiro. You have 4 different generations that would automatically have a place in this story. Which is how that's how Star Wars made it. They had Luke Skywalker for the younger audience. You had Han Solo for the audience a little bit older than him that kind of wanted somebody different. You had Leia for the female audience that really wanted to see a strong female, and she was actually a strong female. You know what I'm saying? Like she wasn't just popping off in the mouth. She actually was skilled. You know what I'm saying? So you had her, and then you also had like Vader, who was like one of the baddest of the bad villains of all time. Yeah, James Earl on the stick. You know what I'm saying? Giving that dude the juice. That dude, it's like you got all these different combinations of generations and different unique perspectives and stuff that really pull people in. I think that Ninth Jedi could do it. I really do believe that if they really capitalize on this and they push they push their politics to the side, okay, and they make a political Star Wars movie about the politics of Star Wars, okay. If they did that, this movie has legs for at least 20 to 30 years extra that will reignite a whole generation of people. All they got to do is keep these characters the same way they were written and build on them. They don't have to make Kara into no Mary Sue character where she gets everything right on the first try, because she didn't. She got things right, but she got things wrong, which made her an endearing character because she was trying. She's like, I'm gonna do my best to make this thing work. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that, I'm like, if you did that, that would work for years to come. You know what I'm saying?
I also feel like this one has and I also feel like this particular one out of the 9 has the most room for political inclusivity without being pandery, being pandery, or without throwing something in at the end of a movie and stuff like that. So if you wanted to have LGBTQ characters, I feel like they could thrive in this environment. If you wanted to have people who were like illegal aliens or whatever, I feel like they could thrive in this environment. Like anyone that you think is a political character or someone who's in the political environment right now that might be disfavored or might be opposed or whatever, I feel like there's room for everybody in that kind of a universe in a way that's not going to be disingenuous or pandery or even I would even go without it being controversial. It is it's just a wide open world.
Yeah, it's a wide open world. Yeah, that was it's treated that way, and we good because this is after Rise of Skywalker. Everything that you knew is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a new way of doing things. You know, like there is no Palpatine. Palpatine's gone now. Gone. This is like his 4th or 5th death. He's gone. So he's gone now. So he's gone. So now we can focus on just the world, and people can be people. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then there's also this threat. You introduce a threat and you attack the threat, and that makes the movie. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I really do think they got the most legs, man. I mean, it's a beautiful story. Ninth Jedi by a mile on the top, and Twins by a mile on the bottom. So,
but I will say, but the Twins is still, and here's the other thing, and this is just how good Visions is. Twins was the worst one of the group, and it was still better than the worst Star Wars stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was even better than the medium grade Star Wars stuff that we've had.
Yeah.
Because look, I like the sort of sequel books that they had of the young Jedi, like, you know, with Luke having his own Jedi temple and teaching his niece and nephews and their friends that were Force sensitive how to become Jedi. I have those books. Okay. I followed Jason and Jaina Solo and all. I look, but most of that content was bad. Okay. I'm just keeping that a buck, but I was so starved for content, I accepted it. Even the games that were based on that time period, the Jedi Academy one, that Star Kyle, those were terrible games. They were not good games at all. They suck. They were terrible games. And Vision is better than that stuff.
Yeah, agreed. That's it. Like I think that like as much as I'm giving Realm, Tatooine Rhapsody and Twins on the Twins, it is still better than a lot of Star Wars that we've gotten. But like I said, they broke a card. To me, they just did a cardinal sin with this story with the space thing. I was like, you can't do that. Like that is literally something you cannot do. Like it's undoable. Literally, they made this point plenty of times in Star Wars. Even in Episode 8, Rian Johnson went crazy enough to say, "Yeah, you know what? Leia's gonna float around in space and not freeze to death. She's gonna be going there pushing, you know, she's gonna be out there in space."
No, she was on a hospital bed the rest of the movie.
Exactly. They at least treated the space with respect. They're like, look, this is a threat out there. We have to be in these ships. We have to have pressure right. This thing just threw all that out. I was like, this is a problem. As a matter
of fact, that whole getting thrown into the vacuum of space is ultimately what killed her too.
Yeah.
Because if she used the last of her strength to reach out to Kylo Ren you know, and toward the end of 9, but because she's still recovering from being
being spaced,
thrown into the vacuum.
Like she was spaced, bro. I mean, like she was spaced for a while. She wasn't spaced for like 2 or 3 seconds. That was at least a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, like I said, as much as I don't like that moment, we have to at least qualify it into the lore now. It's canon. It's canon now. I can't fight that. So it's canon. A person can survive in space with the Force, but they can't go out there and do a full-fledged fight for like 10 minutes.
You ain't out there having conversations and drinking coffee in space.
Your boy was out there just sitting down on the hood of an X-Wing, which is already another egregious problem because he has an X-Wing inside of a doggone Star Destroyer. You know, so I'm like, bro, okay, we got problems. I mean, I really do feel like the people who made that particular episode saw the coolest things they liked in Star Wars on the playground and just put them all in the episode. They're like, we like kyber crystals, we like lightsabers, we like X-Wings, we like TIE fighters, we like Star Destroyers. Why don't we just put the 2 Star Destroyers together? You know what I'm saying?
Which is funny too, because Trigger did the Elder episode.
They did. I don't understand.
I'm like, what happened?
What was going on?
One seemed like one seemed Star Wars inspired, lightly inspired.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then the other one was squarely in. The other one was so squarely in, it was safe. I was like, Trigger, what happened? But you know what? They're following the example of George, because George only, like, if you're talking about the movies that he was directly responsible for, George was only right 50% of the time.
That's fair.
George
that's fair.
He was only right 50% of the time.
So are you telling me that twins, if we combine the score of twins and Elder, that they should be considered the most Star Wars? Just combine the 2 of them together. That's the most Star Wars. That's the truest of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's like, look, like, I mean, it's actually like, if you combine the 2 of them again, the average grade for Star Wars is not. Look, like, the original trilogy was life-changing good, but like I said, 75 to 90% of Star Wars content, I'm talking about everything from merch to comics to video games, because almost all the Star Wars games, with the exception of 4, and I'm including the Lego ones, and when I say that, are bad.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like, why did you even spend money trying to do this?
You're not wrong.
It's so bad.
You're not wrong, and you're not wrong in saying what you just said.
Bad.
Yeah.
And George, and until 2012, George approved all of it. That's the thing. You can't get mad at Kathy for the last 3 movies, or the last 5 movies, right? You can't get mad at her for the last 5, because she was with George when George approved all that stuff prior to 2012. George didn't see. People think that George got in bed with Disney because he had a midlife crisis and sold off his riches to an enemy. That's not what happened. George sold off Lucasfilm to a friend. Like, Kathleen already had majority stock in it. So it just so happened that she was working for Disney. You see what I'm saying? So he sold his company to a friend he thought he could trust, who had made all the other content with him. She was in the room when he signed off on all the bad stuff he suffered over these years.
Yeah.
So, and Visions was better than almost every bad decision George has ever made.
but once again,
30 years of bad historical.
Let's keep it at 100 though. So this like the way, and this is how we'll close it out like this, because I think like some interesting facts about the construction of Visions. You know, Visions had like $150 to $160 million budget that was spread out, right? So what was very interesting about this, the anthology aspect of it, it was loaned out. Like, there was no direction coming from somebody saying, "Oh, we need you to do a story this way." No, they were literally given to these studios that without impunity. They said, "Do what you want." So they just told them, like, this is all we need you. We just need you to set it up like this. We need you to do like short films. You know what I'm saying? So and me and Ordinary Fellow was talking about this before. Now we can honestly say that this is better than Animatrix. 5 times better than Animatrix.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Because as cool
this is fan made. This is because that's the difference between Animatrix and this, is that this is completely fan made.
Absolutely.
It's professionally made. But this is the first time we've had canonized fan made content for Star Wars. And it's
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, like, so I mean, this, we can actually say that this is better than Animatrix on that front, because all of the stories in there fully qualified. All but 2. I can honestly, I mean, that you can squeeze something out of most of them, but the last 2, I mean, you probably could get somebody tattooing Rhapsody, maybe a couple of tours, something like that. But twins, just let that thing.
If you wanted to, you could make it. You could like the band that was performing, the band that was performing in Return of the Jedi when Luke came down. It could actually be them.
It could have been them. Yeah,
it really could.
Absolutely,
and it works in perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, so but it's like the twins episode. They could, but it wouldn't be Star Wars. It'd just be something on the outside. It'd be Kill I Kill Space or something like that. But it wouldn't be Star Wars because it's just there was nothing about this episode that really did anything right. So I was like, they just put on. Like I said, but once again, it's still the best Star Wars that we can have. It's still better than most Star Wars stuff we've got. Now, I mean, this is me, honestly. I would put Visions over the sequel trilogy. It's that good to me. That's how much I enjoyed this freaking like these 9 episodes. I'm like, I will put them above the sequel trilogy because it gave me, it let me think outside of the box about Star Wars again. And it let me do it without having to be like, oh God, here we go again. It helped me do it with just being able to just do it versus being like, oh, I got to do this to get to here because we got this character. I was like, nah. I got multiple characters from multiple places, from multiple eras, from multiple things that we can actually tackle and we can have fun again with Star Wars versus it being a chore. To me, watching the sequel trilogy is a chore. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's at least how I feel. I think there's a majority of people now that do feel that way too. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. I'm just saying like that's just how I feel about the sequel trilogy. But I really do like the Visions because it does it lets me have fun thinking about Star Wars again. So yeah.
I agree. I to me, this is about the sequel trilogy as well. I still put the sequel trilogy over the prequels. The prequels, especially going back and having watched the prequels again, they just were bad movies. They were Star Wars movies, but they were bad. Especially like the Phantom Menace. George, if you misuse Liam Neeson, I can't forgive you for that. That's not good.
I can understand that. I mean, I would not dispute you on that. So only reason why I like the prequels better than the sequel trilogy is just a one through line of Qui-Gon Jinn. The fact that if he had, I kept thinking about if he had lived, none of this would have happened. Like that was at least one of the things. But the structures on the movie storyline stuff, I feel you at 100 on that. But that was at least the only thing that I got out of the sequel, out of the prequel trilogy that really hit hard was that like if Anakin had been adopted by Qui-Gon, he would have been the Jedi that everybody thought he would have been. You know what I'm saying? Because he would have had the father figure.
You know who you can blame for that. You can blame George.
Yeah. That's George's fault right there. But at the same time, though, it had to happen this way for us to get Darth Vader. So I didn't mind, but it was just the fact that like you saw what was going on, that Qui-Gon was the last thread of hope for Anakin actually being a full-fledged, like not just a Jedi, but a Force user with empathy. He was the last through line, and without him, there would like Obi-Wan Kenobi is a terrible father figure. Sorry, this dude is a savage murderer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he has no regard for human life. Let's keep it at 100. That dude called that dude less than a creature. Okay, like something like everybody's like, oh, Obi-Wan. I'm like, I hate Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is a trash character to me. Because that dude has no compassion. That's all he had. I'm like, no, he had compassion after he realized he was wrong. He got waxed a couple of times. He's like, oh shoot, I gotta tame this. Like, yeah, you need to tame yourself, sucker. You know what I'm saying? Like getting beat up by Dooku was the best thing that ever happened to him. But yeah, like that. But so that's my take. So I'm like, I understood why Anakin turned out the way he did because Obi-Wan lacked compassion. He didn't have the same heart that Qui-Gon had. So that was at least a through line for me that made at least the prequel trilogy. I could watch it and just analyze that line. I got no lines. Yeah. In a sequel trilogy, I got nothing. I mean, and they don't have nothing because they knew that. They knew that when they had so many different people, so many different visions. And when Ryan wrote 8 before 7, it was the cart before the horse. You know what I'm saying? Like he wrote it before. So JJ was like, what are you doing? Oh, I wrote this one and Kathy's already approved it. But you're supposed to follow me. You need to be with me. You need to talk to me. He didn't do any of that. So he just made a movie. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's why 9 had to be like rewritten like 4 or 5 times, is because it was out of place, it was out of order. There's too much going on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but like I said, but with Visions, I got none of that. Like I said, even with the work, like I could watch Twins and be okay and just ignore the whole point about them being in space. The battle was dope. But I just know that they ain't Star Wars. That's all that they ain't Star Wars.
I would even go so far as to say that I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Gendy's work with the Clone Wars thing that he did for Cartoon Network, that he did hand in hand with George, by the way. That was
I can agree with that.
It was better than that, and that was great. I can
agree with you.
It won an Emmy. That thing, it won an Emmy. That's how good it was. It won an Emmy. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And Visions was better than that. Like I said, Visions is like, it's better than all the actual full length films to me, except for the original 3. And it's better than Gendy's work, which Gendy, I hold his work in super high regard. Gendy has never missed for me, not once, ever. Like Gendy has never missed. We're talking Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack. He's never missed ever. Like it's always been great. And Gendy did an amazing job, and Visions did better. So I know you watched this with some trepidation, but you did say that before it even happened, that if they get this right, Japan should give Japan Star Wars and let them do it. That's what you said.
Give it to them.
So you hold true to that?
Yeah.
Give it to them?
Give it to them. Like, remember, like, and this is what I like just make sure we round this out. Remember when Marvel did the test phase with Japan, like back in like the early 2000s with anime, they gave him Iron Man, X-Men. They gave him who else was it? Spider-Man. And it was another person that gave him, and all of them suckers was fire. Every last story was fire. Like they dealt with, Charles Xavier's son with Legion and the X-Men. They dealt with Spider-Man. I forget the villain that he was fighting with, but it was great. They dealt with
it was highly entertaining. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, right? So I'm like, Disney, no offense, you see, and I'm saying this because I know it, because I'm telling you the truth. American comics have always been on decline. They've been on decline for the past, like, I would probably say, without exception, 10 years. We've been on a full-on decline ever since 2012. So we've seen like comic books and stuff like sales things go down. We've seen all this identity politics, foolishness, all this other stuff they're trying to throw in, which it could work if you do it in a right way, but it's ruining the experience of just being able to read a comic book and enjoy it and escape. And Japan, on the other hand, is pumping out new characters almost weekly. Literally weekly, almost in anime. Anime manga, they're throwing out characters left and right, different people doing all these things. All these studios doing all this other stuff. Give them Star Wars. Let them have the playground of Star Wars and leave them alone. Leave them alone. Like, I mean, I was like, leave them alone for 3-4 years. Let them do Star Wars and then hand it back to America and watch them suckers be motivated to do a doggone movie. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of think about a lot of the stuff that we have now is heavily influenced by Japan. Because Japan has put more heart in it. And that's why anime manga sales are 5 to 6 times higher than comic book sales and even the watches for anything animated in America, because you feel the soul in it. Our stuff is soulless almost. It's just agenda. Their
stuff is like, it's better. It's better,
it's so much better.
And the other thing is that they're okay with ending stuff. That's another
absolutely yes.
That's like they pay like like with us, we do seasons with the hopes that we can get it syndicated and continue to do it.
Yep.
Which means we never write an end. We never write an end cap to our American series. We don't.
Yep.
That's cartoons, live action, everything. We don't write an end to it because we're like,
is
if this stuff's really good, we can do more of it.
Yeah.
So with Japan, most of the content has a definitive end. Like that means each what we call seasons, they have series. Once the series ends, it doesn't end on a cliff. Mostly does not end on a cliffhanger, because that's it.
Yep.
It was a beginning, middle, and end in one unit. And if it was successful enough, we'll do another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a handful of ones that have just gone on forever, like One Piece and Princess Tennis and stuff like that. Those are outliers.
It's a few of them. There's not it's not 1,000 of them mangas. There's probably I would say probably 10 to 20 that really are ongoing for the past like 20 to 30 years or close to 30 years. But the beauty of Japanese art is that they don't mind grappling with the end. They're like, we will get to an end that do not satisfy you, but we want you to think. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, right at the beginning,
middle, and an end, and be okay with it.
And be okay with it.
Without any plans of continuing.
Yeah.
Without any plans of continuing. Right at the beginning, middle, and the end, and that's it. Be satisfied with it.
That's it. No, so that's I would prefer for Lucasfilm to cut a deal with these studios. I would probably say production IG. you need to get it. you need to figure that out, Disney. You need to get production IG on the stick. Give them all the stuff they want and move out the way. Because goodness gracious, production IG with the Ninth Jedi, they outdid themselves. I would give production IG, Kinema on Citrus, and who was it? Kamikaze Doga. I would give them contracts right now. I would give them contracts right now. And Science Saru. I would give them contracts right now to go ahead and just start making stuff right now. That's Akakiri. That's Lop and Ocho. That's that's Geno. That's Geno Studio. So Geno Studio too. So Geno Studio with Lop and Ocho. Akakiri with Science Saru. What's the name of the thing? Where you at? Yeah, the Ninth Jedi with production IG. The Village Bride with Kinema on Citrus, and the Duel with Kamikaze Doja. I would give them their contracts now. Let them all do like a 12 episode or like maybe an OVA situation with these joints and see what the reaction is. If it goes well, go ahead and expand. That's I would work that. I mean, because let's keep it at 100. If they did Lop and Ultra, you gonna see chicks dressing as Lop and Ultra all day. There's gonna be a female running out here with ears on her head in seconds. This, and just to be real with you and make you laugh for the moment, because I'm telling the truth when I say this. You already see melanated girls dressing as Lop. You already see it. Yep. You can see it in your head. Melanated girls
that kind of thing is already happening as well, because it's not like Lop is the first bunny type character.
Exactly.
And like that's like Lop is a regular archetype in anime.
Yep.
Like that kind of character, like rabbit people, is a really common thing in anime.
And it's easy for like a lot of you hear a lot of especially black girls talking about when they ain't got carriers, yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at like the animal characters that are like brown, hair, complexion, stuff like that, those are like the first one. But Lop is just a dope character. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, there's so many things you could do with this. Give Japan the keys and let America sit down for the next 5 years. That's how I feel about it.
There's so much merch coming out of this. Comic-Con's coming out of this. Merch is coming out of this. Like this. Bro,
they would make all their money back in 2 years if they gave it to Japan. Give Japan what they give them, these particular series. Let them expand on them. Let them do the merch and all the rest of the good stuff. Make sure you cut Japan a nice check, by the way. They're like, they need to get paid. Like, America needs to stop their foolishness. Crunchyroll's on their ignorance. You need to pay these people. You know what I'm saying? Pay these people. You know what I'm saying? So that way they're being compensated for their wonderful work, because you can't do it. You literally can't do it. There isn't an American company that could do what production IG did. Because if they could, they would have done it.
That's true. Like
just being real.
Like they did I feel like what they did in 23 minutes with the Ninth Jedi, they were touching. They were touching.
Yeah.
What George actually accomplished with the first three.
Absolutely.
Like it has the potential to be life-changing good. You know,
it was surreal.
It could be life-changing good. It really could.
It's surreal watch. I mean, I watched that episode 6 times. It's surreal because it's so Star Wars is new Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
It's right up there. If not, it's right up there. If not better than The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is superlative.
It's great. Really it's great. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna be real with you though. I'm gonna keep it at 100. It might be controversial. I put Ninth Jedi over Mandalorian. Just keeping it 100. I will. I
don't think that's controversial.
No, I would put it over in a heartbeat because it doesn't use anything we know, and it's still Star Wars.
You're right. And then the Mandalorian, John made sure to stay within the realm of stuff we know.
He stayed in the stuff that we know.
There's nothing that's totally original in that.
Exactly.
The only thing they tried to do a little bit different was like to take the people, like the Watch, But the Watch is mentioned in Rebels, and it's mentioned in Clone Wars as well. But they try to take the Watch and expand them, and that's how you get the way.
Yeah, so they dealt with Mandalore. We know about Mandalore. If you watch the Clone Wars stuff, you know about the Darksaber. You know about all this stuff that they were using. They were just bringing it to an actual screen. I've never seen anything like Ninth Jedi. Nothing.
It's completely different.
It's so
the only
different.
thing even similar to it. The only thing that's even similar to it is Dawn of the Jedi. That's the only thing that's even close to it.
That's it. And we only have the books for that. We don't have any other frame of reference for that. And that's also because both of them are so far away from the accursed Skywalker saga. We need to get away from these 9 episodes. It's like, and I'm not saying the first 3 episodes are bad, but we just need to get away. We need to get away from these 9 episodes and do something else. And the Ninth Jedi is something so fresh and new with a bunch of characters that I actually like. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I actually like these characters. Like Ethan, like I said, Ethan, as much as he was innocent, you need that in the Jedi Order. You need somebody that actually wants to see the preservation of human life and not just killing people because they don't agree with you. You know what I'm saying? You need that. You need a person like Cara that actually gives you some perspective from the ground that wasn't raised in the Jedi Order, but she's Force sensitive. That's the thing. Don't make her into a Jedi. Keep her as a Force sensitive and keep her strong in the Force. You ain't got to make her into no Jedi. Let Ethan be that Jedi. Let her be a Force sensitive. And let's keep it moving. Bruh. We got so many legs with this thing. I was like, all I saw was possibility jumping off the doggone screen when Ninth Jedi.
Did you notice the little thing that they did at the end of the ninth, which actually was what topped it all off with me?
What's up?
That that the planet's kyber crystal, that the planet's kyber crystal that's actually being used to make all these lightsabers that these lightsaberless Jedi need to acquire. Is an active kyber crystal that's actually shooting a beam into space, and that beam into space. Yeah, the planet itself is actually a lightsaber.
It's
the planet itself is a lightsaber,
bruh,
shooting up into space. That's why Homeboy burned up when he touched
Homeboy
it. Threw
that sucker turned ash.
because he landed inside the beam of a lightsaber. That's what happened. Like the planet itself is a lightsaber.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like just process, dude. That's a whole situation, man. You done got me hyped, man. See, like I mean, that's a whole situation that I would take my son to see that, right? I mean, like that's something. I'm like, I don't mind you watching this, boy. Let's go and do this. He don't even like. My son is particular. He watched episode 7 and he liked it. He watched 8 and 9 and he just ran away. He's like ran away. You know what I'm saying? When we got to 8, he watched it for like 5-6 minutes. I ain't say nothing. Brandon was like, be quiet. I said, I ain't saying nothing. He watched a few minutes of the episode and he picked up his cover and went to his room. And I was like, dang. But then I turned on Visions. He was in a whole nother room. And he heard Village Bride episode. He came running. Ran the room and he sat down for a moment. Then all of a sudden he had his cover in his hand and he's standing in front of the TV like he listened to a sermon. He's standing in front of the TV like, oh, this is pretty dope. It got named Jedi. You couldn't even get him out my room. He was like, he was just sitting there. He didn't say a word. He was quiet. And I was like, this gotta be good because he's normally asked like, Daddy, what does this mean? What does that right there do? He did none of that. He was stuck. He was transfixed. He was like, this is great. And when it was done, he looked at me. He said, Daddy. He said, what was that? And I told him it was Star Wars. And he just looked at me and just left the room. So he probably thinking himself, there ain't no doggone Star Wars. You know, there ain't no Star Wars.
What you talking about? No Star Wars that I
ain't no Star Wars I seen, man. So he was like, huh. And he just left the room. And like he stayed the entire time of the Ninth Jedi. The whole time. The only other thing I watch he does it to is One Piece. That's it.
It's so good.
It will cross over into other generations easily. Give it to Japan, leave them alone 5 years, let them make all the Star Wars content that they want, bad and good, and then pass it back to America, and then like literally say, follow that.
Because they will make bad content.
They will.
Like, they will make bad Star Wars content. It's like, it's really, it's like Star Wars is such a thing that it's actually incredibly hard to make good Star Wars content.
Yeah.
I want people to have mercy on themselves and have mercy on Lucasfilm when they don't realize how much Star Wars has changed the world. Like, it's changed the world of sound editing. It's changed the world of sound design. Yeah. Like, there's sounds that came into existence as a result of Star Wars. Like the lightsaber thing. That lightsaber sound is patented.
It should be. It should be because
it's universally recognizable.
I can't.
Like the Darth Vader breathing thing, all that.
How do you conceive the sound of a lightsaber? I'm just talking about, forget like the tech. I'm talking about just a person sitting down in a room.
Yeah.
How do you conceive that sound? I mean, like, every single time I hear it turn on, I'm like, yo, the person who sat down and said, this is going to be the sound for the lightsaber, that sucker should be a billionaire. That's not a millionaire situation. That one sound is the most recognizable sound on the planet. That's more recognizable than the doggone tornado on sounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, a person will recognize that. Yeah.
It's life changing. Like people don't realize how much specifically that original trilogy. It changed everything.
It changed
Skywalker soundstage based out of the UK. They changed everything. Like, they changed the way that movies are mixed. They changed the way that scores and stuff are mixed into films. It changed everything.
Yep.
They changed the way that we consume and experience entertainment. And it's really hard to make something that is going to follow that. And George proved that, and Kathleen proved that even when you make decent movies, they're still not going to be life-changing good as that original trilogy is. Lightning in a bottle. It's so hard to do that.
Yeah.
And they're going to make you give it to Japan, they'll make some decent stuff, and they'll make a lot of bad content. Why? Because that's we're an abused fan base. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
You're going to make a bunch of crap. It's not going to be all that great. But guess what? We'll show up for it. We always do. We show up for the good and the bad.
Yep. I mean, but I also think that if they go with the rubric that they already have from a few of these episodes, Visions, I don't think they will make bad. I think they will make decent and they will make great. Because if you just follow a few of these particular storylines, all you have to do is follow the order and just go. If you go the route of twins, it's gonna be bad content. If you follow the route of Tatooine Rhapsody, you're gonna make bad content. You know what I mean? Like, it's like no shade. It's like you follow that order where you just taking the name of it's like Pokemon with no Pokeballs. You get what I'm saying? It's like they don't make sense.
I would even go so far as to say the highly successful Clone Wars, the animated show. If you follow that, you're gonna also make bad content.
Absolutely,
that was George. That was George. That was Dave doing stuff with George's permission. You know what I'm saying? Like, but George saw every storyboard and approved it. It went on for too long. It did not need to be 8 seasons.
Yeah,
it did. And you know what? And because George was trying to a combination of George's action and then Kathleen and then him selling the stuff to Disney, selling it to Kathleen, but with Disney's name on it. It forced them to have to retcon Gindi stuff.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? And then what they tried to do to fix it in the Clone Wars was worse.
Yeah.
Like, the way that Gindi did it was completely seamless. And so so Japan has to follow with the formula what they have, but don't pay too much attention to George because George is wrong most of the time.
Yeah.
So just George is wrong most of the time. Don't follow George too closely on that. Take the spirit of what he did with the original trilogy and work with that.
Yeah,
but don't follow George's formula because then what's going to happen? You're going to have a one-piece Star Wars thing that's got too many episodes that we're watching out of obligation. We don't like it, that kind of thing. Don't do that. One Piece. Don't get me wrong. One Piece is legendary, but it would take you a month, literally a month of binging it for hours and hours and hours every day to catch up if you started from episode 1.
Yep.
It would. I don't want that with Star Wars. I don't need that. Write it in. Make it short. Make it sweet. Don't make it more. There's nothing that they should produce now that should be more than 25 hours of investment. They shouldn't. You shouldn't do that.
Even The Mandalorian is about 16 so far. Like it's not a whole lot. I mean,
it's 16 hours.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
feel like
they
got one more. You shouldn't do. They shouldn't do. I think season 3 should be it. I'm just calling it.
No, I agree. Even
if season 3 is phenomenal, I don't think it shouldn't go on forever.
Yeah, I agree with you, bro. Like, I agree with you. Like that should be it. I agree with you at 100. That should be finished by season 3. Like they're gonna do the Book of Boba Fett, and then they doing just let them do Mandalorian season 3 and be done. And then they can move once. Like I said, by that time, if they've done this right, you've already cut the deal with Japan. Japan's got Disney Plus. You got Disney Plus animated content ready to go, weekly episodic that will probably last you 2.5 years. If you do this right.
Shoot. Some of those directors that they some of the directors that they had with that they did for especially at IG Studio, the directors that they did for Night Jedi, I would say bring them on board to even though I know it's animation. Absolutely. But Dave knows about this. Dave knows what it's like to take animation and then transition to live to live direction. Yeah. And Dave did a good job doing that.
No,
so I think if Dave was on set, they should get one of the IG production directors and let him or her do a few episodes of Ahsoka. Because I feel like if Dave was able to make that transition, he could train someone from production IG to make that same transition to live action and make it do Ahsoka, like really make Ahsoka great and really set the stage for Thrawn. Because Thrawn could be amazing. I watch Rebels. Thrawn could be amazing. General Thrawn is one of the best Star Wars villains that exist. Like you have a lot of meat there that you can work with and make a plate, man. You can make a great plate with Thrawn and with Ahsoka. You can make something magical. Absolutely. But they can also make it terrible. They can also make it terrible.
The plane for good and terrible is very, very close together. But yeah, man, I mean, like, look, we're going for another hour. We need to stop. We need to stop because
3 hours and 31 minutes.
This is great content, you know, like, and I hope everybody enjoyed listening to this because once again, like I said, I really do believe that if Visions is capitalized on and that Lucasfilm wises up and literally sits down with these Japanese studios and give them a deal, Star Wars will blow up in another 2 or 3 years beyond what they ever could consider. And I mean, I would say this right here, and this is going to sound controversial, but I do believe this. If they use this rubric with Ninth Jedi, MCU is dead. Because here's the issue.
You think Star Wars will wash? You think Star Wars will wash Marvel?
It will wash them. You know, only reason why I say that is because there are already more Star Wars fans than there are MCU fans. Let's keep it at a buck. Let's keep it at a buck. They're like, no. I'm like, no. See, these are people that are lapsed. They're just going to MCU movies because they know that they're safe movies. They're just watching them. There's nothing new. There's been nothing new in any Marvel movie you watch. If you say Endgame, you lying to me. Just because people faded into nothing don't mean it ain't happened before on Marvel. So it's like they just did it on a larger scale. So like it's like we getting this recycled formula for the past 10 years, the same movies. Like I said, the only movie that wasn't like that, which is my favorite movie, is Winter Soldier. It's the only one that took risk, full on risk on all sides. We didn't know what was going to happen in that movie. It was great for that. But because they drilled this formula in people's heads, it's like zombie watching. You just watch them because it's there. But if you give me Ninth Jedi, Star Wars, The Ninth Jedi, we ain't got to do no episode, no. Star Wars, The Ninth Jedi, episode 1. Lightning in the bottle. Let's go. People will show up in droves. And on top of that, there are relatable characters that do not need adult suggestion. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to go that route. We don't have to go that route. See, Marvel has to go that route because these characters are built this way. Now they're facing backlash because, you know, the world's changing. Everybody changed their mind every other day about what's morally right and what's not. So MCU's facing all that because it's set in this particular era and it's not working for them. It won't work for them for long. Not in the way that I think. It's not going to make them in-game money again. Now with Star Wars now has a chance to make more than in-game money if they do this right. They really do. I believe that. If they are able to do what they're supposed to do, and they like look at what Demon Slayer did, and it was an obscure anime.
It was.
Look at what that look.
But it was amazing. Obscure, but amazing.
It's amazing. You know what I'm saying? But look at that with no Star Wars audience. Imagine that with a Star Wars audience. That's my case. Imagine that with a Star Wars. Imagine that movie coming out in Japan first and not coming to America. Bruh. I see suckers like literally flying to Japan to try and watch a movie. I've seen people do worse than Star Wars. I've seen people do worse than Star Wars. So I mean, like, it is something that would energize the mess out of the fan base, and people would eat it up, and it would blow up just as fast, just as easy. Can you imagine the lightsaber? The dark green lightsaber? Turn it into green?
Shoot.
Dude, I'm telling you that there's so much in this thing that could be capitalized on that would blow them up in a different way, Star Wars wise, that would last them for another 20, 30 years. They do it right. All you have to do is do it right. But yeah, that's why I stopped. So any final thoughts, brother, before we close?
No, I loved it. It's the best thing since the original trilogy to me. And that's beating down some other really quality stuff that Star Wars has done. But to me, it's the best thing in 40 years. Well, the best thing in 36 years.
Yeah.
36, 37 years. Whenever the Return of the Jedi was, this is the best thing since the Return of the Jedi to me. Agreed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it through at least twice already, and it just came out earlier this week. Yeah. It's great. I loved it. I couldn't wait to chop it up with somebody. It's so good. Yeah. I highly recommend it. It's the best Star Wars thing popping right now.
Yeah, on the real, ordinary fellow was like, man, look, I need somebody to talk to. You need to finish this. I was like, you need to finish this. And I was like, I'm on it, man. I was going to push it off. And I popped in the first episode and I was like, well, we in here now, so I might as well finish this. I mean, it took over. I was like, we in here. I can't stop now. I mean, the Star Wars family was like, nah, bro, you can't, this is like Lay's. Once you, well, no, it looked like Pringle. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. You guys just go ahead and finish it. Just go to the end. And that's why I watched it all in one sitting. And then I watched it again in one sitting yesterday. And I'm probably going to do that again in a little bit. So yeah, absolutely Triumph. The name of this episode is probably going to be, I'm going to call it Star Wars Visions and Absolute Triumph. Because that is exactly what this is. It's fun. It's engaging. It's future-proofed if they do it right. Even the ones set in the past are future-proof because you can go in the past and still do stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's certain eras that you can actually flex in a little bit, but then you also have a story set into the absolute future of Star Wars beyond The Rise of Skywalker that keeps it as canon. You know what I'm saying? Which I know, I mean, I had to come off that mountaintop, so I'm trying to help people. It's canon. We have to deal with that. That's perfectly fine. So since we know it's canon, why don't we just take the stuff that we know that works in it and make something even better? And I think that the Ninth Jedi could be that thing that actually is that thing that's made better by even the triumphs and mistakes of 7, 8, and 9. I really do believe that. So yeah, so thank you guys for listening. If you got any comments or things you want to give us, go to our website, enigmasunc.com. You can also contact us via email, which is info@enigmasunc.com. Our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are EnigmasUNC. Just look us up. You can find us, follow us, have fun with us. You know what I'm saying? I'll be posting things like that. Respond back, give us feedback. We would absolutely love it. Ordinary Fellow, I appreciate you being on with me today, man. This was great.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Always a good time for Star Wars.
Absolutely, man. So I couldn't have think of nobody else that I would have actually been able to do this with. So I'm glad that you was like, yeah, let's go ahead and figure this out. But until then, the next time we see you solve those enigmas, do not leave them unsolved. And remember, it's cold weather now. It's getting cold. Cover up your face.
You still got to wear a mask.
Yeah, cover up your face.
Still need to wear a mask.
And wash your filthy hands because we're going into peak flu season. You know, so please make sure you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your neighbor. You know, cover up your face, wash your filthy hands, stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.